Good evening, everyone. Call the meeting to order. It's 6:04 p.m. I'd like to humbly acknowledge the land which I live, learn, work, and play is Treaty 8 territory, traditional lands of the Cree and Dene, and unceded territory of the Métis. If anyone attends wishes to address council on any of the agenda items, please see the Legislative Services desk located to my right. I won't be calling upon those who have registered to speak. You must give your name before you start, and you have 5 minutes to speak and remain on topic. Before we adopt the agenda, does anyone wish to serve notice of motion? Councillor Cardinal?
Yep. Thanks, Mayor. Oh, sorry. Good day, everyone. Thank you very much, Mayor Bowman. I'd like to serve a motion. So I, Councillor Kendrick Cardinal, serve notice of a motion to have mayor and council become full-time councillors as opposed to the current structure as part-time, effective June 12th, 2024.
Thanks, Councillor Cardinal. Can I have someone make the motion to adopt the agenda? Councillor Grandison?
I move that the agenda be adopted as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Grandison. 1 sec. What's that? Oh. Sorry, Councillor Cardinal, go ahead. Turn your mic on.
Okay, am I speaking to my motion?
No, you don't speak your motion until it comes back at the next meeting.
Okay, I would like to make another motion, please.
Okay.
I, Kendrick Cardinal, make the motion to waive the 2 weeks notice for the previous motion.
Can I have someone second that? Councillor McGrath?
I second the motion.
Thanks, Councillor McGrath. Councillor Cardinal.
Through the chair, just to clarify, so the motion that's on the floor is to waive the 2 weeks notice for Councillor Cardinal's motion, and just for clarification, is that to add that to tonight's agenda for debate?
Yes.
Okay, just for clarity. So that's the motion that's on the floor for council, Your Worship. So you're voting on waiving the 2 weeks?
Well, we
Okay, Councillor Cardinal, if you want to speak to the waiving the motion.
Okay, so we got the seconder for the waiving the motion. So then you want me to speak on it?
Right.
Okay.
Of waiving, not the motion itself, but just waiving the motion.
Okay, I just...
waiving notice of motion.
Okay, I just wanted to speak to waiving the notice of 2 week motion, that I feel that we've requested this prior, and I feel that it's important that we just settle and get on with the motion, and how important it is to be able to do it today and move it on. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Cardinal. Does anyone have any questions or debate points or comments? Councillor McGrath?
Through the chair, I guess I can see. I didn't see any reason not to debate it this evening, but just in Pacific, I guess to be forthright, you're asking to debate and close out this evening your motion.
That's correct, Councillor McGrath.
Would you be amicable to change not? But if a person can't report tomorrow morning because they have a prior engagement, would that be okay?
No, I think it's pertinent and important that it's done today.
Okay. Thanks. No. Through the chair, just a correction. So if this passes this evening, it'd be okay tomorrow that if I don't show up, because I'm not trying to be smart. I just have a couple of things, and I want to support you, but I don't want the people think they're going to be on the doorsteps tomorrow morning. You know what I mean? So no objection to what you're doing. It's just that if it passes, because now, this is it either passes and then would the expectation is it starts tomorrow morning?
That's the indication that I've directed to Mayor and Council and the public. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilor McGrath. Anybody else? Any Councilor Grandison?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the chair, this is not a motion that I'll support for a number of reasons. One, I'm a full believer that council votes for remuneration and job descriptions for
Councilor Grandison, just right now, we're just debating and come on the waiving of the
yeah,
notice.
fair enough. My apologies, Mr. Mayor. Got caught in my head. I've done that once or twice. In terms of the motion, though, I'm just somewhat responding to Councilor McGrath's comments because of that expectation. But anyways, there's going to need to be a period of time for this to all be flushed out. I don't think it can be done just as a wish list overnight. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilor Grandison. Councilor Cardinal?
Well, I beg to differ. I've added this to the agenda more than once before, and I've been haven't really gotten any responses back for certain areas, and I feel that I'm going to move at council's discretion, and I'm going to provide as much feedback as I can to the motion, and hopefully that we could get this passed today and move on and create some common courtesy and communication stream with the full-time councillors.
Thanks, Councilor Cardinal. Anyone else have any comments, debate points about waiving the notice of motion? Myself, I have some reservations about that, mostly because it's we need to be responsible to the community's purse strings. We're not allowing the community here as part of the debate and as part to present here for council. And I think it's important for the public to have a chance to be able to speak to this when we're using the public funds as what we're ones that are stewards of that purse. So I don't think I can support waiving the notice of motion. Do you have any other questions, comments, or debate points from council? Not seeing any, so we'll call for a vote.
I'm not sure what we are voting for.
Issue, Councillor.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. Are we voting for the waiver?
This is the waiving the notice of motion.
Okay.
It should be on. Is it coming up on your screen?
Okay.
To waive the two-week notice of motion.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And that's carried 5-4. Okay, Councillor, do you want to speak to your motion now? Oh, sorry, Councillor Cardinal, we're going to add it to the agenda and we'll come back to it then. We'll add it. Thanks. Okay, we're back here. Can we have someone to adopt the agenda as amended? Councillor McGrath.
That the agenda be amended by adding agenda item number 6.3, full-time council members, that council waive any requirement to serve notice relative to proposed addition and, I guess, and is, we'll get on to it.
That should fine, Councilor McGrath. Another motion, Councillor Cardinal?
Thanks, Mayor. I, Councillor Cardinal, I, Councillor Kendrick Cardinal, serve notice of motion to have RRC or our, actually no, let me just do it this way, sorry. I, Councillor Kendrick Cardinal, serve notice of motion to have RRC host a watch party for the remaining of the Stanley Cup playoff games.
Okay, you're going to make a motion to waive that as notice as well, because by the 25th, all the games will be over.
Yep. So, you need me to?
Yeah, if you can.
Mr. Mayor, sorry, through the chair, we do have a motion on the floor for adoption of the agenda. Councillor McGrath made the motion. It may be cleaner at this point if Councillor McGrath were to withdraw that motion to allow the more notices of motions to be served. Is that okay with council?
Through the chair, I guess this is my 30th year serving the public, and I've always been amicable to the betterment of the community, so no problem.
Thanks, Councillor McGrath.
And for clarity, is this one being asked to be added to the agenda again this evening?
Yes, it has to be because it's playoffs is another 10 days and that's done, right? So
Okay,
let's get the kids
so
together.
need to make a motion to waive the 2 weeks notice.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I, Councillor Kendrick Cardinal, waive the 2-week notice of motion for the previous motion. Yep. When do you want me to speak to it? Oh.
Thanks for the second, Councillor McGrath. Councillor Cardinal, do you want to speak to that?
Thanks, Mayor. I just want to say how important it is to be able to have community come together, especially, you know, the elders, the youth, the disabled, to be able to have a place to share, build community, build commitment, and, you know, see the smiles on everybody's face. And I think it's very important to us as mayor and council that we pull them together at this time of fun.
Councillor Cardinal, just the waiving,
Okay.
the waiving of the 2 weeks notice right now.
Okay, sorry.
We're not
Okay.
debating that yet.
All right, so reason why is because of the playoffs, almost done, and I feel that that's it. How about that?
Perfect, thank you. Does anyone have any comments, debate points on waiving the motion? Not seeing any, can someone make the motion? Or I'll call for a vote. We're just waiting on 2 votes. And that's carried. Thanks, Councillor Cardinal. Now, going back, can I have someone make the motion? You have more? Okay. Yeah, you have to turn your light on, though.
Thank you, Mayor. Can you hear me? Okay. Last motion, I promise. I, Councillor Kendrick Cardinal, serve notice of motion to have Indigenous and Rural Relations do a placemaker that has missing and murdered Indigenous woman Indigenous and exploited peoples statue or steel structures at every municipal border coming into our community of Fort McMurray.
And did you want to waive that, or do you want to bring that back to debate? Okay. Thanks.
No need for waiving that one.
Thank you, Councilor Cardinal. Can I have someone now make the motion that the agenda be presented, to be adopted?
Don't somebody have to second that?
No.
Oh, yeah.
No, that comes back next. Councilor McGrath? Okay. Can someone make the motion to adopt the agenda as amended? Councilor Benjoko?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. I move that the agenda be adopted as amended.
Thank you, Councilor Benjoko. We're having some technical difficulties, everyone. That's for, there, it's up now. It's up now. If you have it on your screen there, you can try to vote. Who is? That's carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to consent agenda. Does anyone want to wish? Was anyone like to move anything from the consent agenda? Not seeing any. Can I have someone make the motion? Councilor Grandison.
I move that the recommendations contained in item 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3 be approved.
Thanks, Councilor Grandison. And thanks for the second, Councilor Walkwin. Call for a vote. Thanks, everyone. This evening, first, I'd like to address two proclamations this evening. The first one is World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. The proclamation reads as follows. Whereas older adults in Canada, Alberta, and this region are valued members of society, and it is our collective responsibility to ensure they live in safety and with dignity. Whereas abuse of older adults is often hidden and is an ever-increasing issue that crosses all cultures and social economic boundaries. Whereas older adults everywhere deserve to be treated with respect and dignity to enable them to serve as leaders, mentors, volunteers, and important active community members. Whereas preventing abuse of older adults helps improve their quality of life and allows older adults to live independently as possible, while making positive contributions to the region. And whereas we are all responsible for building a safer community for older adults in this region and everywhere, and are encouraged to empower older adults as an effective way of preventing abuse. Therefore, I, Sandy Bowman, Mayor of the Regional Municipality of Buffalo, do hereby proclaim June 15th, 2024 as World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. The second is the Indigenous Peoples Day, and the proclamation reads as follows. Whereas National Indigenous Peoples Day is a time for everyone to recognize the rich and diverse history, culture, and contributions of Indigenous peoples and communities, as well as the Indigenous way of knowing that continues to shape the region of our beauty. Whereas Indigenous peoples are the original stewards of the land and are fundamental to the history, identity, and future of this region. Whereas National Indigenous Peoples Day is a time to listen, to learn from Indigenous elders and knowledge keepers about the true shared history. And whereas the Regional Municipality of Buffalo is committed to advancing reconciliation through strengthened relationships based on recognition of rights, respect, and friendships. Whereas June 21st is a day to inspire Canadians to actively participate in community events and learning opportunities to increase personal understanding of the true history of the region and to advance truth and reconciliation in Buffalo. Therefore, I, Sandy Bowman, Mayor of the Regional Municipality of Buffalo, do hereby proclaim June 2024 as National Indigenous Peoples Day. And moving on to presentations, we have the Communities in Bloom 2023 Annual Report. I'd like to invite Diane and Nicole to present, please.
Very much, but I just want to ask you, what is the age of elders that you will prescribe? Is there any age limit or health or?
Councillor Cardinal, what is considered an elder? What age?
Thanks for the question there, Doga. I guess I could answer, but I think it varies between the organizations and nations that you have, respectively. I know that the ACFN and Mikisew Cree have different ages of elders. Us as well as the nation as well have different ages for elders. So I just feel that it depends on where, what nation you're from, and not sure what the actual age for the municipal government, and I do believe it is 65. Yeah.
Thanks, Councillor Cardinal.
Oh, thank you. It is an appropriate reply. 65 seniors, you know, I fall in that. Mr. CEO, I should be treated with respect. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Doger. Go ahead, ladies. Thank you.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having us this evening. My name is Nicole McMillan, the chair of the Buffalo Communities in Bloom Committee, and joining me today is Diane Zundel, our vice chair of our Communities in Bloom.
So we are here to share with you our year of programs and events from 2023. This includes the Flower of the Year, the Community Gardening Day, Nominate Your Neighbor program, and our 2023 Communities in Bloom Symposium and Awards. The 2023 Flower of the Year was Elysium. 7,000 seed packets were packaged by the committee members and distributed at local businesses, municipal offices, and our rural contact offices. The color purple signifies the variety of effects on the mind and body, including uplifting your spirit, calming the mind, enhancing feelings of spirituality, and encouraging imagination and creativity. The Community Gardening Day took place on May 27th at the Doug Barnes Cabin. We had over 50 members of the community come out to participate in the event, and we hosted 3 presentations during the day. We had tips and tricks for a successful garden, how to create a green and healthy lawn, and simple ways to take care and maintain your trees. Rave even helped plant the flower pots with help from our parks team. The Nominate Your Neighbor program is a residential and business recognition program for efforts in front yard or storefront beautification in the summer and the winter months. This program has grown exponentially over the last 5 years, and this year we are excited to report we had our biggest year ever with 250 residents recognized in 2023.
The National and International Communities in Bloom Symposium Awards took place right here in our backyard. Dozens of delegates from Ireland, the Republic of Korea, Slovenia, Italy, Hungary, the United Kingdom, and all across Canada were welcomed here in Fort McMurray with Buffalo for the 2023 Communities in Bloom Symposium Awards, held from September 27th to October 1st, 2023. A big thank you goes out to our community, our recreation staff, for putting together a wonderful event over the weekend. Guests took part in unique adventures, educational workshops, and guided tours that shared in the region's dynamic culture, Indigenous heritage, and natural beauty. Some of which included a boat trip up to the Athabasca River, exploring reclamation and reconciliation through storytelling, a medicine plant walk, and restarting native plant communities through innovation, and so much more. The Wood Buffalo Communities in Bloom Committee members were proud ambassadors for the event. The committee helped delegates with navigating to their sessions, emceed the symposium awards, and introduced the speakers and hosted the bus tours. I am proud to inform you that the Regional Municipality of Wood Buffalo was announced as the winner of the Outstanding Achievement Awards category Plant and Floral Displays. This award recognizes the hard work of the public works staff in beautifying the region through creative displays like decorative canoes, planters, and gardens.
As the event host for the Symposium and Awards Committee, the municipality received 2,800 orange tulips donated by the National Capital Commission. The tulips were shared with rural communities and planted across the region. Keep an eye out for the beautiful orange flowers this spring. On September 30th, 2023, during the Communities in Bloom Symposium and Awards, it was announced that the 2024 flower color of the year will be orange, to honor truth and reconciliation in our region. We have brought marigold seed packets for you all today. National and international communities will also be following suit, with orange being their color, flower color of the year. The 2024 Flower of the Year seed packets officially launched at the annual Community Day event that took place on May 4th at the Doug Barnes Cabin, and that event featured gardening sessions and a plant and seed swap. So we want to thank you for your time, and are there any questions?
Thank you. Councillor McGrath?
Through the chair, and I believe the little seeds, they go up and down, right? If you lay them on the side, do the plants still grow?
Yes, they
So
will.
it doesn't matter?
No, you're good.
Thank you.
As long as it
You
gets
got
in the
some purple
pot.
ones. I just want to say through the chair that it was very nice to be part of, I guess, not that I done much, but to go out and because everybody thinks this place is full of tar sand and smoke and all this kind of stuff, but when you come here, and I'd give Mrs. Mayor Blake a big shout out, because boy, she really got raked over the coals. And if we could put another 1,000 flowers on poles, have at her, because I think that is so inviting and it's so calming and it's so peaceful. And I remember one time, flowers are just a beautiful way to say, you know, I love my life, and they grow. And I think you guys do a fantastic job with the parks, because I lived here for 40 years and I've seen it get better and better every year. And even up in Thickwood now, you know, the flowers, it's a late summer, I guess, but keep up the good work. And there was one, do you know how heavy those canoes are? Because I think this guy apparently, I think he's a city employee and took on his own time, like many city employees, try to make our life better. Do you know how heavy? I just because I love a number, like a canoe, like a trap skip for Newfoundlanders would be. You couldn't carry it.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the weight is. I do know our park staff worked hard last year and this year to build them. And actually during our community gardening day this year in May, we did have park staff out and they were showing how they built them. But I don't know the exact weight, but it's probably more than I can carry.
And one final question. I know the lady's probably gone, but do we still do that community gardens? I think there's Wasco's up in Thickwood, and then the TD Bank done one in Timberlea for the fire. Are they now managed by the community still?
We have a number of different community plots throughout the region, and there's also community gardens throughout the region, so there is both.
Because a community is like a garden. If you put everything, it'll grow together. But if you keep it separated, it'll die. And that's what flowers are. And keep up the good work. You've done an excellent job, especially having hosting. And we should be hosting lots more because it is a beautiful community. And we have every service for people to enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councilor Roth. Councilor Dogar?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, for giving me a chance. Thank you very much, presenters. Very nice presentation. And I was very happy to, delighted to attend your 2 weeks before the presentation with the kind courtesy of Mayor who inspired me, and he was in the area. It's really very good. But one observation I had, that number of attendees were less. Probably, that is another subject. But my question, I'm coming to before I'm ticked off. Do you hire some horticulturals also?
So Communities in Bloom Committee is a volunteer-run organization, so we're not municipal staff, they're all volunteers, but our park staff do have a number of horticulturists that do work for the municipality.
Do you feel is there any need of a horticulturist who could advise you or make further improvement?
I'll refrain to comment. I do think our horticulturists that we have right now are wonderful, and as I mentioned in the presentation, that we did win an award for the plant and floral display. So I think that's a wonderful contribution that our existing horticulturists have provided to the community.
Thank you. Do you concentrate on only flowers? Or the summer Christmas lights also come? You also cover communities in bloom?
Yeah, great question. So we have two programs. We have one that runs in the winter that does kind of celebrate people using lights or different things outside to beautify our community during the winter months. And then we have our summer program that focuses more on flowers. But even when we think about beautifying our community outside of flowers, like that could be greenery, that could be heritage, that could be anything that contributes to our region's mission.
Fine. During Christmas, I've enjoyed the beautiful lights number of times. And probably first time I'm knowing it is your job. And so one question is more. You do this only for beautification, or you also keep environment also in mind, that we have to improve the environments, and certain flowers, they improve it. They emit more oxygen. So my question is clear?
Yep, it is. And I think for sure. I think they go hand in hand. I don't think you can beautify the region without touching a piece of nature. And so I think, some folks might get hung up on the flowers, but even last year when we did our community flower, we actually included a vegetable in our seed packets as well. So last year we had a bean and the alyssum. So that's one small way that we've kind of incorporated other avenues of nature into our programming.
My question still is about the oxygen. Oxygen is good for health. During daytime, the plants take away the carbon dioxide and emit oxygen. Mm-hmm. But are there any plants which also could be put inside the rooms, inside the building, so that the environment within house remains more conducive for oxygen orientated?
Yeah, for purifying the air within your home. Yeah, there's a certain number of, I want to say spider plants are a good option for that you can have within your home that help purify the air, that are outside of a classic flower. So,
okay. Yeah. So where is your office where I can contact you for further guidance?
Yeah, that's great. So again, we're not municipal employees, so we're volunteers, so we don't have offices here, but we do meet once a month. And I would direct your questions to our lovely Tara in the future, because she will help you.
Okay, fine. Another question is, do you promote vegetables cultivation in the houses or not?
Yeah, I think I would say yes. I think, again, mentioning last year, including a bean in our programming was one way that we wanted to highlight including vegetables and not just having fruits. But a lot of folks can grow vegetables even in planters. If you don't have space for a garden or you're not a part of one of our community gardens, you can get planters where you can grow certain leafy vegetables that go up instead of down.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Dogar. Councilor Stroud.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. Can I thank you for this program? I really love the flowers and the beautification within our region. And congratulations to the Public Works Department for all the flowers out in the rural. The other question I have is, when you take the pictures and you choose, which homes are the nicest, do you include the rural in?
Yeah, we sure do. I have them here. So we have rural contact offices in Janvier, Conklin, Anzac, Fort Chipewyan, and Fort Fitzgerald. And we do get nominations from those communities as well, which is great to see.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stroud. Councillor Benjoko?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman, and thank you for the presentation. I just want to appreciate the good works. I served on that committee before, so I can understand the amount of work that goes into serving in that committee, so thank you. 2023 was particularly a good year for the activities, and seeing the symposium here, that was amazing. My quick question, is there anything exciting in the pipeline for us at RMWB from the committee for this year or next?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think we're coming off a couple years of some really big successes. We had our judges visit in 2022, and then 2023 was a huge year with hosting the symposium. So what I will say is I think we're coming off a couple really, really good years. So we have nothing specifically in the pipeline this year, but I think, recognizing all the great work we've done over the last couple years, and hopefully more to come in the next few years.
One of the things we are working on this year is we've had several members in the community that have been nominated for either their gardens or their Christmas lights over several years. So we're starting to go back and look at some of the data that we have, and we're looking at having a way to recognize some of these people that have been repeatedly nominated. So they'll get like a little bit of extra recognition. So that is one thing we are looking at this year.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. And then for the Christmas drive-through, I think when I served, I think the people went round in the bus to see the houses. Do you still do that?
I believe that's an event that's run through Fort City Church. I don't believe that's a municipal event.
Yes.
So you would need to be in touch with the church to see if they are running that. But from my understanding, I believe that they will be.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Bajoko. Councillor McGrath?
Thank you, through the chair. I just wondered, now we're on the subject of beautifying. I know Sheldon Germain used to have he signed there, you come across the bridge abutment up on the hill. And I was just wondering if we could get some material, we could put a big altar sign there for game number 6 when we win the cup.
Wouldn't I love that? We'll take that away.
Thank you. And that's why you got that orange flower too.
That's right. Orange and blue.
Thanks, Councillor McGrath. Councillor Cardinal?
Thank you very much to the chair, to the presenters. Thank you for the presentation. Really appreciate it. I've had liberty and to be able to sit on the Community in Bloom's committee, and I think it's a great committee to sit on. One of my favorites for sure. For the boat rides, I did want to mention that it was great to be able to host myself along with Dennis Schott and Lenny Hansen, be able to provide boat rides to the international judges. They really enjoyed it. We sat and shared prayer along on the riverbank, as well as shared some stories, and just to note that how important it is to be able to have others come and share our community commitment to reconciliation and what it means to be able to share that and be a part of it. Communities in Blooms, I did want you to mention a couple names because it's great to see Tara here. I haven't seen her in a while. I appreciate her being here, but I did want to say to thank you to Julie, Helen. Who else is there? There's a whole bunch of them, but they're the ones that make the Community in Blooms happen, along with these ladies here, Seville, Stephen, Tara S., and Roxanne Andras, and Chantel Beaver's sister's name is Megan. So I want to say thank you to all of them for all their hard work. But the orange flower obviously is a representation about our path to the truth and reconciliation for our Indigenous communities and Indigenous nations surrounding our regional municipality. And that orange flower meant a lot to me to be a part of. And it also means a lot to some people that are heavy-duty gardeners, I'm sure, that are Indigenous all across the region. And I admire the hard work that's put in by all of you. And thank you so much for your commitment to making a better Fort McMurray and a better regional municipality. And it's because of your hard work and all those wonderful things you guys do in the community that make that kind of stuff happen. Just to note, I did want to say that when they were talking about communities in bloom, and when I first became councillor, I just wanted to be involved with the flowers. I wanted to be involved with the flowers because I felt that it made me feel good, and it's just another testament to what it means to be a part of the Community in Blooms Committee and the growth of this entire region. Hats off to you all, and I appreciate all the hard work you guys do. And one more thing is that it's not only about flowers, it's about the placemaking with the canoes, flowers hanging on the street signs, lighting, grass cutting, whatever comes with making our community look great and building a better Fort McMurray. So thank you all for your hard work. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Cardinal. And I just want to say thanks for all you guys do. Congratulations for the awards. And I know the international symposium we had here, everyone was elated with the flowers and how beautiful the community was here, because it was definitely something they didn't expect. So thank you both very much. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Remember to grab a seed packet on your way out. Thank you.
Next up, we have bylaw number 24/010, off-highway vehicle pilot project bylaw, which is being presented for a second and third reading tonight. I'd like to invite Diane Berge, Community Service, and Caitlin Hanley, Legal Services, to introduce the report, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before I start, I would like just to address Councillor McGrath's question, is that the 24 canoes that we have throughout the municipality, empty, they are 300 pounds. When they're filled full of material flowers, they're 600 pounds. Just so that you're aware of that. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Keith Smith, and I'm the Director of Public Works.
Keith wants to
Yeah,
ask a question.
because I know that Mr. Smith, people think that I'm short and ignorant all the time, but, I appreciate you telling me that, because I know that had to be about 800 pounds to move it. You know what I mean? So, because I always wondered how heavy that was, and now I can tell the person that was asking.
Yeah, they're roughly 600 pounds that we do move with our equipment. All 24 was built in-house by our construction techs, and they're decorated by our hort techs. So fantastic job.
They're beautiful.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Keith Smith, and I'm the Director of Public Works. With me this evening is Diane Berge, Director of Community Services, and Caitlin Hanley from Legal Services. To start, I'd like to give a brief recap and overview of how we got here today. As you all remember, on April 9th, 2024, Council approved the Off-Highway Vehicle Pilot Project Plan. The goal was to allow off-highway vehicle use on Abbotsford roadways to improve OHV user experience, increase safety on multi-use trails, and reduce damages to municipal green spaces. Since then, a bylaw has been drafted that is in alignment with this plan. The bylaw before you this evening includes regulations identified during the planning process to ensure the bylaw meets its objectives effectively. These regulations include operational hours and designated areas, stopping and towing restrictions, exclusive operation within the Abbotsford neighborhood, age and passenger restrictions, mandatory safety equipment and compliance with Traffic Safety Act, licensing, registration, and insurance requirements, enforcement and compliance measures. I'll now pass the presentation over to my colleague Diane Berge, who will share with you how the public engagement was engaged and how their feedback impacted the development of this bylaw.
Thank you, Keith, and good evening, Mayor, Mayor and Council. We had the opportunity to gather public feedback on the OHV pilot project bylaw from April 10th to the 19th. This engagement encouraged participation from various groups, including Abbotsford residents, businesses, schools, and condo associations. Residents across the urban centre were also invited to participate, including community groups and Indigenous partners. Participants shared their feedback through an online survey, quick poll, and an in-person targeted workshop. During the targeted workshop and online engagement, individuals had the opportunity to ask questions, express concerns, provide suggestions, and prioritize potential benefits and challenges. This slide outlines the engagements in numbers. There were 134,809 times that people saw communications and advertisements. This is a measurable number that people were made aware of the project through all trackable sources, including website views, newsletter recipients, event responses, and social media channels. There were 3,810 times that participants took the next step from being aware. They spent enough time on the website that we consider the visitor to be informed about the project. And 1,218 participants performed one or several of the actions available to them on the engagement portal or in-person engagements to provide feedback. These numbers indicate that the community is interested in this pilot project. Residents raised several key concerns about potential impacts of the bylaw. First and foremost was the safety of pedestrians, road users, and OHV drivers. They also expressed concerns about enforcement, noting that some OHV users currently do not follow existing regulations. One commonly mentioned benefit was the redirection of OHVs off multi-use trails, which residents believed would enhance safety. Additionally, residents highlighted that allowing users to leave their driveways and access trails through the staging area would provide a more convenient OHV user experience. However, a significant concern raised was the potential increase in noise on roadways in Abbotsford. In the quick poll, residents were asked if they supported OHVs driving on Abbotsford roads to access the Abbotsford staging area directly. The results show that 76% of the 288 contributions are in favor. The survey demographics show that 34% of the 735 survey respondents identified as Abbotsford residents, and 74% of participants identified as OHV users. Additional analysis of the feedback was conducted to review the direct impact of this bylaw on Abbotsford residents. 78% of Abbotsford residents who participated expressed support for OHVs directly accessing the staging area via Abbotsford roadways. All of the feedback gathered from residents was compiled into the What We Heard report. This report was shared with Council, provided to the OHV working group, and is available online for all. I'll turn this over to Caitlin, who will elaborate on how the feedback was integrated into the bylaw.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm going to start by summarizing some of the key components of the bylaw that is before you this evening. In keeping with the resolution passed by Council on April 9th, the bylaw before you has been drafted with no time restrictions on operating OHVs on roads in Abbotsford. OHV use will be permitted on all municipal roads in Abasand unless the sign that is included at Schedule A is erected on the road. At this time, we have not identified any municipal roads in Abasand where use will be restricted. However, we felt that this sign was an important tool to include in the bylaw so that administration could respond quickly to any major concerns raised by the public throughout the course of the pilot project, with the goal of keeping residents and users safe. OHV use will not be permitted on private roads unless the owner of that road expressly permits use. This is an important section of the bylaw that specifically responds to concerns that were raised by some condominium corporations who do not wish to permit public use on their permit public use of OHVs on their private roads. Public and rider safety was considered in the drafting of this bylaw. Rules have been included surrounding the use of seatbelts and helmets. Riders are required to have a headlight and taillight. The permitted number of passengers is limited to the number of passengers that the OHV was designed to carry. A person will need to be 16 years old to operate an OHV on a municipal road. To be a passenger, a person must either weigh at least 18 kilograms or be at least 6 years old. This is in alignment with car seat laws because manufacturer specifications do not permit the installation of car seats in OHVs. OHVs will be required to travel single file and must obey all traffic laws, including the speed limit. They shall not operate on sidewalks. They shall not be permitted to operate on municipal property, schools, parks, or in parking lots. One of the feedback parameters that was mentioned by Diane was responsible OHV use and protection of the green spaces or trails. The focus of the OHV bylaw is to increase opportunities for responsible OHV use, restricting motorized traffic to the road and protecting the municipality's green spaces and trails in the urban service area. Operating an OHV on a municipal green space or trail is expressly prohibited in the bylaw. Significant specified fine amounts have been included into the bylaw in an effort to deter these infractions. These increased penalties will give enforcement officers the ability to ensure that those who are caught violating the rules are the ones who are subject to the consequences. One of the concerns that was frequently raised throughout engagement was the potential for additional noise on the roadways. The noise provisions in the Community Standards Bylaw will apply. The pilot bylaw also includes a section imposing a standard that no person shall operate an OHV so as to cause a loud, unnecessary, or unusual noise. Additionally, it's important to be aware that the off-highway vehicle regulation includes exhaust muffler requirements that are in part geared towards limiting noise. These requirements will continue to apply to OHVs when they are operating on municipal roads under the pilot bylaw. While noise provisions can be a challenge to enforce, if feedback during the pilot project identifies excessive noise as an issue, the working group intends to work with Bylaw Services and the RCMP to discuss and explore additional strategies for addressing this concern, which could include targeted enforcement activities or recommendations for amending the bylaw if appropriate. Finally, I'd like to highlight the sections of the bylaw that have been included as a measure to help prevent wildfires. Through imposing requirements on OHVs for using municipal roads, we have the potential to make a positive impact on the measures OHV users take when using OHVs in the backcountry. The pilot bylaw includes a requirement that OHV operators carry a shovel, collapsible pail, or fire extinguisher. It ensures that OHVs are not operated where the machine has a buildup of debris, like muskeg or grass. and that the machine has a functioning spark arrestor that is properly maintained and installed to the manufacturer specifications. The OHV working group consulted with the Riders Association, who were supportive of these requirements. The RMWB's FireSmart group donated a number of collapsible buckets for the Riders Association to distribute to its members, and the working group intends to continue to look for opportunities to collaborate with the Riders Association to promote responsible OHV use and prevent behaviors that are high risk for starting wildfires. To end our presentation this evening, I'd like to take a few moments to highlight the next steps should Council pass second and third reading of the bylaw this evening. The working group intends to launch its public education campaign, which includes a number of components: an RMWB news release, which will be released tomorrow, an educational brochure that will be mailed to all homes in the Abassan community. These will also be provided to Bylaw Services and RCMP to distribute to riders as they work to enforce the bylaw. OHV pilot project signage will be installed in Abassan, including large signs at the staging area highlighting key rules from the bylaw. The website, rmwb.ca/OHV, will be updated tomorrow morning to include information about the pilot project. There will be regular educational posts that have been planned for the RMWB Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages. There will be radio ads, and information will be provided to Pulse in order to respond to any inquiries they may receive. Lastly, there will be continuous feedback being collected through Participate Wood Buffalo website and Pulse throughout the duration of the pilot project. While the pilot project plan originally identified June 15th as the date for implementation of the pilot project, the OHV working group is recommending the date of July 1st instead. July 1st has been included in the bylaw before you for consideration this evening, and I just wanted to highlight that there were a few reasons for this deviation. The bylaw was being developed while there was a provincial OHV ban in place as a result of the recent wildfire. The OHV working group felt that it could create some confusion among the public and send mixed messages if the OHV pilot project commenced while an OHV ban was in effect. While there is not currently a bylaw in effect, we reviewed the data from 2023 and determined that there was an OHV ban in place until June 22nd. Based on this 2023 data, the OHV group elected to recommend pushing the start date back. During the engagement, a number of condo corporations identified concerns about permitting OHV use on condominium-owned roads. If the bylaw is passed tonight, implementing the pilot project on July 1st will give these condo corporations some time to make final decisions about whether they intend to participate, and if they elect not to, it provides time for them to erect signage to ensure the public is aware that OHV use is not permitted on their lands. And last, moving the start date to July 1st provides the OHV working group with sufficient time to have signage printed and erected in the community of Abassan, and provides additional time for the education campaign to commence. And lastly, the compliance strategy. The education campaign will be the first step in achieving compliance with the bylaw. Through enhancing the public's awareness of the rules, the goal is to increase levels of voluntary compliance. Both Bylaw Services and the RCMP have participated in the OHV working group and will play a crucial role in executing the compliance strategy. By maintaining a presence at the staging area, bylaw officers and RCMP will be able to educate users on the rules and ensure compliance with licensing and registration requirements. Law enforcement will also engage in traffic stops, focusing on high pedestrian areas and at stop signs to check for compliance. Added attention will be given to green spaces, schools, and playgrounds to ensure these public spaces are safe and to prevent damage to public property. Law enforcement will also focus enforcement efforts in areas that have been heavily reported or identified as areas of concern for illegal use. This is why it will be very important for residents in Abasand to connect with Pulse or participate with Buffalo with any concerns about non-compliance with the bylaw. There will be opportunities for ongoing public engagement throughout the pilot project. The online engagement tool will remain active at the Participate Wood Buffalo website for the duration of the pilot project. We also expect to hold a one-year public engagement check-in sometime in 2025, and again, prior to the bylaw's expiry. This may include targeted in-person workshops and an online survey or poll. And that concludes our presentation tonight.
Thank you, Caitlin. Do you have any questions from council? Councillor Dogar?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the nice presentation, all very high-level, prestigious three of all of you, and speaks of your competency. A lot of work has been done, and every aspect has been covered. Once you fine, the rates of the fines are quite high. So no, that I feel concerned because many times, the younger people, kids would be doing it. So it should be reduced, number one. And secondly, does it have any concern with the registry for some driving lessons or testing or anything?
Through the chair to Councillor Dogar, operators will be required to register their off-highway vehicles with the registry. They'll be required to display a license plate on their vehicles, and they'll also be required to have a minimum of a Class 5 license.
Thank you.
And they'll also be required to have insurance.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dogar. Councillor Grandison?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the chair. So, as I was listening to your presentation, it took me back to a time when I used to go to communities and introduce a group home. We used to deal with the same, I used to say to people, we're dealing with the same kids that are already in your neighborhood with more control. Mm-hmm. And that's essentially what I heard you say is we're going to be dealing with a lot of the same people that have been up in Abasand, driving their quads, ATVs, side-by-side, et cetera, on municipal lands, boulevards, so on and so forth. But we now have more teeth. The bylaw has more teeth, more ability for bylaw to react, more education, more so on and so forth. Does that sound like the same people?
Through the chair to Councillor Grandison, I'm not going to go so far as to say that all OHV users up there are riding illegally.
I'm just referring to the ones who did.
But I think it's a generally fair statement to say that there are a lot who are doing it. The goal of the bylaw is to provide a legal avenue for them to do it, to minimize some of the nuisance and property damage that is occurring currently through the illegal use. It's also the rationale for, I think, what Councillor Dogar referred to as the high penalties. Because we are providing a legal avenue to ride, we want to disincentivize the illegal usage through higher penalties.
I appreciate that. I lived in Abasand for 14 years, and I agree. The vast majority of people do pay attention and ride legally. I'm talking about we're still dealing with those that don't. It's just that the bylaw has a little bit more. When I say teeth, I'm not just talking negatively. It sounds like there's all kinds of opportunities for education and for people to understand what avenues are available and so on and so forth. And, having driver's license, insurances, and all of the rest of it. So I see this as being a very positive step in dealing with a situation that's been ongoing for probably, many years. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Councillor Grandison. Councillor Stroud?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. Thank you for the presentation. Did the municipality have complaints in the Abasand area that OHVs were being driven where they were not allowed?
Through the chair to Councillor Stroud, I don't have the specific data in front of me right now, but there have been complaints of use of OHVs in the urban service area in various different communities, and Abasand was one of them.
And it's probably a simple answer, but what is the speed limit within the urban area on a public road for an OHV?
Through the chair to Councillor Stroud, 50 kilometers an hour.
Oh, 50.
The decision was made in working with our traffic group to maintain the current speed limit. Because we allow parking on a lot of our streets, OHVs will have to drive along the same flow of traffic as other users on the road. And there was concern that lowering the speed limit requirement for OHVs could in fact impede traffic and create a greater danger than if OHVs were to travel with the flow of traffic.
So, and I was just wondering, is the municipality considering providing any information, training on the use of OHVs, such as courses on operating and precautionary measures? I know we had these programs in Anzac, where, they would.
So through the chair to Councillor Stroud, that isn't actually anything that we've considered. What I will say is we do require those who have a HEN license to take a training course, and it's something we could even explore on our OHV webpage, providing links to educational opportunities for the public.
Regulations, etc.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, and it's something that I will bring back to the working group.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stroud. Councillor Benjoko.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman, and thank you for the presentation. And I see that you got all the answers ready for most of the questions that I had, noise being one of them. But top on my list is the safety and stability of our region in terms of any fire, any possibility of anything close to fire right now. So I would really want us to have some high-level precautions and reassurance of everyone, including myself. I wouldn't really want us to have any exposure again to fire, so I don't know how we can walk around it. It's I know it's a difficult thing, because even when people are trying to escape fire, some are still smoking and dropping the cigarette butt. So it's very concerning for me, but just needed to say that.
So through the chair to Councillor Benjoko, what I can tell you is that there was a lot of time spent among the OHV working group discussing this issue. And we did have representatives from the Fire Smart group sitting at the table with us. One of the things I think that we discussed is that the goal, I suppose, of this project is we're trying to draw people away from the urban and wildland interface area, which is higher risk for wildfires, out by the trails, out in the area of, for instance, McKinley, where we know a fire happened previously, that by drawing them to the roads and to the staging area and then to trails, we hope to limit their opportunity to come into contact with the type of vegetation that can create fires. Okay. We know that people are using their OHVs in the provincial lands, in the rural service area, regardless of whether or not we have a pilot project in place. So we've taken the opportunity to put additional requirements in our pilot project bylaw that will hopefully encourage users of the rural area to take these measures as well, to carry things like a pail or a fire extinguisher, to clean off their OHV, to have a spark arrestor.
Okay. Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bajoko. Councillor McGrath.
Thank you, through the chair. So I think Abisan is the perfect pilot program because I think you have 4 arteries there. That one takes you to the Higginstone River, the other one takes you to Beacon Hill on the Anzac, and the other one can take you down across the Clearwater. What I heard was the speed limit is 50. That's provided they're on the hardtop, I guess, eh?
That's correct.
So there's some like snowmobiles don't have like is there tracks versus wheels, and is there like if they're on the road they have to have indicators?
So through the chair to Councillor McGrath, snowmobiles haven't been included in the pilot project. So it could be something that we continue to discuss with the snowdrifters if it's something that they want to continue exploring. But through our conversations, we're not sure that snowmobiles would actually want to use the road in any event.
No, it'd be hard on your skags and your sliders. I get that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that I think it's wonderful that we're doing it because we're basically 7 months a year, it's winter. And for 14 hours a day is dark. So I guess the more we can give people, and I got to say, I lived here for 40 years and people are pretty safety sense. And some people that are on quads, I have one or a John Deere, you could be just going in the bush, mind your own business, and something sparks behind you. Like it's not intentional, it's just recreational. And I just commend the people. The snowdrifters have been around for over 40 years. And I think if Abraham and Chartran were here tonight, they would say the same thing, because I think that recreational vehicles bring families together. You go to Tower Road, so I think it's a great thing. And you'll always have a few people that probably speed up the road, but I think we live in a pretty responsible community. So I appreciate the people that brought this forward, because we have to do more of that to grow our own. And like I say, there's no better place in wintertime. Frankie Richards and Mel Ruling, there's just a whole clan that enjoy the outdoors. And thank you.
Thanks, Councilor McGrath. Councilor Ball.
Thank you, through the chair. I just want to kind of review some of this fire ban stuff, just for clarity. I'm not trying to remove anything, but I might be. Section 31. Can you put it up on the screen? Are you able to? Or I don't know if you guys have the display. I'll read it for you. Fire ban declared pursuant to Section 16 and 17 of the municipality's Outdoor Fire Bylaw 24005 shall supersede Sections 5, 7, and 12 of this bylaw. No person shall be permitted to operate an OHV in the Abasand area while a fire ban is in effect. So I'd like a little clarity on this, simply because I don't think we can place a fire ban other than backyards and whatnot within the urban service area. So how does that impact OHVs if there isn't a current OHV ban on? So we would say you can't ride your OHV outside of Abasand, but you can down Tower Road.
So through the chair to Councillor Ball, you're correct. We can't impact. Our fire ban applies only to the urban service area, so Fort McMurray proper, in backyards generally. Under the outdoor fire bylaw, there is a section, and sorry, I'm just going to pull section 31 here. It's section 16 and 17 of the outdoor fire bylaw. The fire chief can declare a fire ban for the urban service area. When the urban service area fire ban is in effect, it states that no OHVs will be permitted to operate in the urban service area.
So let me ask this. Are there any currently that are allowed to operate in the urban service area?
Yes, they are from the staging areas. So
just from the staging.
Currently under the bylaws, only from the staging areas out to the backcountry area.
So that you'd have to define where the boundary is of the USA to say You
Yes.
can't use this small connector section.
Yes.
I'm not against this. I'm just trying to understand it.
Absolutely.
We're
There are various
restrictions on some
jurisdictional
areas.
issues, and so it's complicated. What this section strives to do is, if you look at section 12 of the bylaw, it says you can't drive an OHV in Abasand except for the following. For instance, entering and exiting the OHV staging area by the shortest route possible, traveling to and from the operator's place of residence. So that's basically the section that allows people to drive their OHVs on the roads in Abasand. What section 31 does is it says when the fire chief has called that bylaw, has called the fire ban under the municipality's outdoor fire bylaw, the ban will supersede section 12 of the bylaw, which permits you to ride in the urban service area.
Say that again. The ban will permit you?
Section 12 of the bylaw permits residents to ride their OHVs on the road. Section 31 says that when there is a ban declared, the ban will supersede section 12 permission to say you're no longer allowed to ride them during that period.
Right. But if you were to trailer it up and take it on Tower Road, you'd be okay.
As long as you're in the rural service area. I think the practical reality is that the fire chief tends to call our fire bans for the urban service area in alignment with the province's fire bans. But the outdoor fire bylaw does give him the ability to declare them independently if he chose to do so.
Okay, fair enough. And not at all times do fire bans align with OHV bans, correct?
That's correct. One option to replace section 31, if you wanted to, would be to merely state that there will be a ban on OHVs in the urban service area, basically in Abasand, if the province declares an OHV ban for the rural service area.
What I'd like is some wording that, frankly, the people trying to adhere to this bylaw can understand, so they don't get caught in a catch-22.
Yes, and I do believe that despite all of the references to different sections and bylaws here, generally speaking, what will happen is the fire chief declares a fire ban in the urban service area, and he will list there what's not permitted, and it will include OHV use.
Okay.
So it will be communicated to the public in a way that's easy for them to understand that they're not able to use their OHVs.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Ball. Do you have any other questions from council? I'm not seeing any, so thank you. Do we have any delegates for this item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have 2 registered delegates.
Okay. I'll just give them a minute. First up are Renee Wells. And if Renee, if you could say your name for the record, and just remind you have 5 minutes to present, and please stay on topic.
Your permission to show them at key points during my brief presentation.
Absolutely. Thanks, Renee.
Thank you. You just allow me a second here to set up what I brought. It'd be much appreciated. Hopefully they stay. There we go. So as an RCMP inspector, I had the use of an unmarked car equipped with emergency lighting. A teenager on a snowmobile, no helmet on, once barreled towards me on a street here in Fort McMurray. I lit up my car intending to stop and talk some sense into him. He chose to spin his machine around, almost falling off, making a beeline for the woods nearby. I did not pursue the boy. The risks far too great for what would have been a stern lecture and a traffic ticket. That is, if he would have stopped before engaging in risky behavior, potentially killing or injuring himself or others. It always comes down to the lowest common denominator. I would implore council to look at it through that lens. I've seen many OHVs racing up and down streets, others on trails designated for pedestrians and cyclists, and I wonder why. Some have removed wooden barriers that separate green spaces and roads, giving them and their machines easier access. Municipal workers, when plowing snow from trails or removing garbage from bins, either do not relock barriers.
It's upside down, Renee.
Oh, pardon me. Leaving these access points open or permanently disabled. The door from the OHV barn to the park pasture left wide open. Recently, I witnessed 3 boys on trail bikes pulling wheelies down a street, then racing back a few minutes later. No point in calling the police, I thought. Those boys were long gone back into the bush. I hear OHVs outside my home while watching television or while trying to sleep. There is a destruction, some caused to the sensitive ecosystems of our parks and our cross-country ski trails. I've narrowly avoided being struck by some whose behavior is not what we see from most OHV operators who are responsible. The kicker in this is that it's occurring outside of Abisan, in Timberley, and I'm sure there are other areas. Sometimes the message you send as council transcends the boundaries of the areas and residents you hope to benefit. I choose to live in a city because of the amenities it provides. I understand that this comes with limitations on what I can do and what I cannot. The reverse is true for those living in rural areas, smaller communities. I know I've lived in both. I've spent 5 years in remote Arctic communities where snow machines and quads outnumbered cars and trucks. Unlike larger vehicles, the risks that OHVs pose are far greater. They're not designed for roads. I was once called to identify a man whose head was split wide open, wasn't wearing a helmet, after a machine crashed into the side of a parked car. The other man, uninjured, walked away or ran away. I couldn't prove who was the driver. One couldn't remember. The other wouldn't talk. 30 years later, that man is a ticking time bomb because of the brain injury he suffered that day. Blunt force trauma at all. While our police are unlikely to say this to you, I know that you can try to create bylaws that regulate the activities of others. The police always reserve the right to use whatever tool they can reasonably enforce. If the risks are too high, they won't do it. Engineering solutions must then figure prominently and be maintained for this initiative to be effective. Again, you must consider the lowest common denominator. You must exercise great caution with the public interest in mind. Otherwise, this can expose them to more risks and problems than the outcomes it seeks to provide. A pilot project for one small part of the urban service area may not be perceived by the public as limited to Abisan. Some will say, if it can be done there, why not here? We live in a city, and there must be limits to what we can do within that larger urban setting. The onus must be on those wanting to engage in OHV activities, and I was one of them, to follow the rules. We must ensure OHV activities do not occur on our streets and trails unchecked. Mixing people and machines can be fraught with all sorts of dangers. There are limitations to what should be allowed. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. Do we have any questions from council? Councilor Dogar? Oh, no. Go ahead, Councilor Dogar. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very nice presentation. There's no question, but just a tribute to your experience and coming here and contributing to our what we are doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, through the chair to Councillor Dolgar. My experience also includes having overseen the activities of collision reconstructionists. And there was one in particular who used to be here in Fort McMurray who would shake his head over, and this is not related to OHVs, but the common attribute of many a young man coming into Fort McMurray was to amass enough money to buy a pickup truck and then to purchase a lift kit, as well as big knobby tires to put on those vehicles. And he had attended many collision scenes where these vehicles simply lost control. Those tires are meant for muddy, slushy conditions, not necessarily our roadways, pavement. And so when you look at a lot of the OHVs that are out there with the same knobby tires, I wonder if we're not following that same path. And I'm really concerned when I hear that there is a 50-kilometer-an-hour speed limit that would be imposed upon OHV operators. That would cause me great concern.
Councillor Stroud.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. And thank you, Mr. Wells, for your presentation. You mentioned limitations. What limitations would you consider?
Through the chair to Councillor Stroud, I just mentioned one, the limitation of speed. That is a factor. I really wonder, when I hear that there's going to be a variety of pieces of equipment that each OHV operator is going to have to carry with them. Buckets, collapsible buckets may make sense, but fire extinguishers, are they going to be seen by OHV operators as practical, particularly on trail bikes? The other limitation that I would talk about tonight is that we heard a lot about education, awareness, and enforcement. Those are three attributes as a former member of the RCMP that I engaged in quite often when managing traffic services units across northwestern Alberta. The key point that I think was not touched enough on here tonight was engineering. There are engineering controls that can be put in place. We do not want to set our police and bylaw officers up for failure. Offenders are long gone after somebody is complaining, and an ounce of prevention as opposed to that pound of cure that we see afterwards. I don't know what happened last Saturday, but I was driving up to the King Street overpass. And I saw 4 of our fire trucks and EMT services parked there on the up ramp. And looking down below, I saw an overturned OHV. I believe it was a side-by-side with significant damage, and the crews there looking underneath that. So I wonder, and that's within the urban service area. Was there enough preventative measures that were put in place that would stop somebody from going into areas that are unsafe for them and for the other users of that particular area?
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stroud. And thanks tonight.
Great. Thank you.
Next, we have Jason Mills. And Jason, if you could say your name for the record, and just remind you have 5 minutes to present and stay on topic, please.
Jason Mills with the Wood Buffalo Recreational Riders Association. I've been working with the municipality here for the past year on and off, giving recommendations as best I could to my knowledge. I believe everyone involved really did consider safety of the public and the rider themselves. There's been lots of due diligence doing that, including the safety of the fire. We discussed that as well. I've heard the concern about the speed as well. There is a possibility that might be a higher speed than maybe we should go with. The rider should ride to the best of their abilities and the conditions of the road, just like you would in your own motor vehicle. Like if it was winter months, you got to drive to the conditions, right? There is issues around town, and even with this bylaw in place, we're still going to have issues. Myself, I came down the hill tonight on a Harley, and I had to stop hard at the top of Thickwood because 2 kids on a 110 dirt bikes cut in front of me. So it is happening other places other than Abbotsford, like this gentleman just said. But those are the people that we're going to have to deal with, even with the bylaw in place or not in place. If the bylaw is not passed, I don't see anything changing. So with a change, with a chance, with good people that are going to follow the bylaws and the rules that we follow every day, we have a chance that there's going to be some good aspects to this where people are just going to, the responsible person will be able to ride from their home. But the people that aren't following the rules and are ripping up and are damaging or making noise, then that's still going to probably continue unless we find out who these people are and try to give them a clear path of where they're going to be. I know there's concerns about the rider as well, but I've heard like twice the gentleman say like these people aren't wearing helmets. Like the guys are wearing helmets. They have to wear helmets. We have to have insurance. We have to ride responsible. There's always going to be that person, right, that doesn't listen and does get hurt. And there has been accidents, very close calls, including myself, my friends. Like, but it is a rider experience, and hopefully this bylaw passes just to give it one chance. It is under review. It's not permanent. There's always room for continuous improvement. So I think see how it goes, and we'll go from there.
All right. Thanks, Jason. Yeah. Just first want to say thanks for working with the municipality. I think having people that are users involved to get their input is really important. And you also mentioned about happening other places. So yeah, like, and do you think that this bylaw in place will take people from using the green belts and from riding like improperly in Abbotsford area right now? Will take them onto the street riding legally instead of those I'm going to say ne'er-do-wells that you do see in the community?
Yeah, I think one of the benefits of this was to get them off the green space for the cost savings and all the reclamation that's caused. But also, like, I feel like people are rushing, trying to get from their house to the trail system in a quick manner so they don't get caught. So if we give them the rights to ride the road at a reasonable, responsible speed, they should, we hope, abide by the rules and get there safely, more safely than they are now. They are going to get off the walking trails. They're not going to come in any close contact, hopefully, with any pedestrians. They're not going to ride on the sidewalks or any walking trails or ski trails. They're going to be riding the roads or driving the roads with basically a vehicle.
Right.
So.
All right. Thanks, Jason. Councillor Ball.
Thank you, through the chair. I just want to touch on this speed piece. I did clarify with Caitlin behind us. There's nothing in the bylaw that says a speed limit, right? It's based on posted speed limit. Is that correct?
Through the chair to Councillor Ball, that's correct. And my understanding is the posted speed limit is generally 50 kilometers per hour, except for in the school zones.
Correct. I mean, there's quite a bit of school zone in Abbotsford. So I guess my question to you is, are you okay with putting something in the bylaw to limit the speed at 30 for OHVs? That could address some of the concerns that were brought forward by Mr. Wells. And I know my OHV at 50 kilometers an hour on asphalt, it's a wandering mess. I don't think I'd want to drive it at that speed. Much prefer it at 30. So is that something that you can work with?
Yeah, I briefly did mention about the speed, like in some of the meetings where I was in the past. They were just trying to make it consistent with the other vehicles that can travel that fast. That's what I'm saying. You got to drive to your condition. Just because the speed limit's at 50, you don't drive 50. But if you want to put it in place, it would just slow down the vehicle behind them. As long as residents might start saying, I'm following an ATV going 30, but that's their rule. And then there's a rule to the vehicle. I mean, I don't even drive 50, my personal vehicle on a residential street. It just seems too fast for me, even for my truck, right? Like there's kids out there and park cars and someone can come out. So, I mean, I drive to my conditions when I'm in residential, so I would expect that everyone would do the same, but there's always that chance.
And I appreciate that. And certainly in Abbotsford, the roads are a bit constricted. I know when I'm riding my bicycle, I can't go 50. So people are waiting for me to get out of their way. So I mean, I'd like to add that as an amendment, that we add in a line somewhere in this
We
bylaw.
we do the amendments, we'll do that, Councilor
Yeah,
Ball.
but I'm just making a note of that. So, all right, thanks, Jason.
Well, speaking of bikes, like there's electric bikes that probably go 70 kilometers an hour right now. So it's that's probably another bylaw that you guys got to look at. But.
In the future. Councilor McGrath?
Thank you, Jason. Through the chair, I seen Frankie Richards. He made an electric bike go 85.
Yeah.
Him and Mel can make anything fly. So I just want to thank you for your time, because I know you're a dad, and I really just takes me back to the early 80s. It's the same miserable people that say nothing works. But if it's a car, a motorcycle, a carriage, a skateboard, it all has to operate safely. And if a person was born and raised, most people here in Fort McMurray, the first thing it is, they're safe, they're safe, they're safe. And it's funny how people just count out the bad stuff, because you go to Abbotsand any Sunday afternoon after November, there's families out in the bush. And I just want to thank you, because you're don't know if you know it or not, but you're taking the place of two fine gentlemen, John Abraham and Riel Charchand, old Riel, the mechanic, because there was the community had those guys, and you're coming up behind them. And the snowdrifters, I would say they're close to 50 years, because I got a trophy that Frankie Richards got me in the bush. So, and that was, I don't know, 81. But what I'm trying to say is, I think that is a perfect pilot program. I agree, I'm with you, 50 kilometers. If you drove 50 kilometers on Diefenbaker, you wouldn't get your car out. And I think the bylaw officers, they get a lot of flack for nothing, because they don't go out of their way. And I think that this pilot program will I guess, hopefully edge on to Timberley and, the outports, because you got one in Abbotsand, so now you got the south end of town looked after, because you know yourself, you can go down the hill, jump on the river. Now we got some tourism. Now we can go to White Mud Falls without leaving your truck and your trailer froze to death. So I commend you, because I know that you could have done a lot of stuff last year, but here's a perfect example of a community champion. You're making life better for others, and we can get some more people in here, then we can probably get some houses filled up. Congratulations. I support you 100%.
Thanks, Councilor McGrath. Councilor Stroud?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman, and thank you for the presentation. I know the minimum age for this pilot project is 16. Is 16 the normal age on OHV trails?
On the side of the fenders, usually it does say 16 years old on the fender of the ATV when you buy them. They usually have a age 16 as a limiting factor. Although some machines are designed for younger children, like even 5 years old. But
okay, but they're expected to be 16.
Manufacturer, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Councilor Stroud. Councilor Banjoko?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman, and thank you, Jason. Is there any motivation for your members to support these changes to the bylaw and comply to the rules that will make all of us safer? Are there some wins in this for you that would motivate your members to comply?
Okay, I guess I don't have a motive or benefit to this, really, per se, other than just speaking for a lot of people that have grew up here riding machines like their whole lives. I'm like McGrath. I've been here 44 years, born and raised. I used to ride from my house, and I used to maybe not wear my helmet. And one time I had a close call, and I wear my helmet now. So I've evolved into responsible riding resident, and I believe everyone can do the same. There's just so much bushline on the outside of our community that we have access to, and just to give people that easy access to ride from their home and spend time with their families and their friends like they do. Like there's thousands of people in the woods, especially in the winter, not so much in the summer months, but it's just to get people out and enjoy the outdoors, because they have these machines that are very expensive and they want to use them and they want easier access. They don't want to have to hook up and go to a staging area half the time, but they will. they will if that is the law. We're just trying to make things a little different, a little better, and just work with all groups and all community members, even if you don't ride at OHV. Maybe you have a friend that has one. I bring friends all the time that don't have them, and they really enjoy it. It's something for everybody. Maybe not everybody, but it's a benefit. It's a benefit to living here. We're full of backcountry that can be enjoyed. So I think that's the benefit of this.
Okay. Thank you. I don't want to drag it longer. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Councilor Bajoko, and thanks, Jason.
Thanks.
Councilor Ball, do you want to make the motion with amendment? After it's on the floor. Okay, sorry. Can someone make the motion for the second reading? Councilor Bajoko.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. I move that bylaw number 24/010, being the off-highway vehicle pilot project bylaw, be read a second time.
Thanks, Councilor Bajoko. Thanks, Councilor Ball. Do we have any discussion, debate, points, or comments? Councilor Ball? Amendment?
Thank you, through the chair. As you know, Mayor Bowman, we've been in discussions about a few amendments over the last few days. We've been reading this thing upside down and inside out, and there are a couple amendments that I would like to make to this bylaw. Do you want me to read them off, Jade, or just read them off?
Did you want to do them all together or separately?
I'll do the first one, then I'll do the second one, I guess.
I'd recommend going in order, just one amendment, and then council can consider it and vote on it, just to make it really clean.
Okay, so the first amendment is add except for a service station at the end of paragraph 9 before the period, and delete section 29 and replace with no person shall operate an OHV where there is grass, muskeg, or other debris built up on the OHV in the following locations. A, tires or the wheel wells. B, the exhaust system or muffler. C, the engine or manifold. Or D, under the seat. And the reason for that is in the proposed bylaw, it wasn't clear. It just said mud on your vehicle. So, and my assumption was that was relative to dealing with possible ignition or tracking. And if you had mud on your roof, that wouldn't really be a concern, but you could get pulled over for having mud on your roof.
And can we get a seconder for that? Councilor Dogar?
Thank you, sir. I have a little observation that I already conveyed, that the fine. Second the motion, yes.
I'm dealing with the fine one next.
Thank you. Councillor Ball, do you want to speak to that motion now?
I kind of already did, so.
Perfect. Do you have any questions for Councillor Ball? Councillor Grandison?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through the chair. I'm sorry, Ken, I'm a bit lost. So can you connect the dots for me as to the recommendations you're making?
On this one, well, I'd have to go, hang on a sec. Let me find the original. Was it section 29? Didn't you read this?
I did read it. but I'm not reading it right at the moment. My brain doesn't retain it quite as well as yours, so.
So section 29 states, no person shall operate an OHV where there is grass, muskeg, or other debris on the OHV. It wasn't clear. So if Jason Mills is out in his side-by-side and he's got a box full of mud in the pan, he can get a ticket.
No, okay, thank you. That's what I needed to understand.
Thanks, Councilor Granderson. Do you have any more questions for Councilor Ball? Not seeing any, so I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
I think mine went. Yes. I don't know if mine's working or not. Oh, it's over here.
Thank you, everyone. That's passed unanimously. Do you want to do the second amendment, Councilor Ball?
Yeah. I'd like to propose that we remove section 43 in its entirety.
Can I have someone second that? Thank you, Councilor Walkman. Thank you. Councilor Ball, do you want to speak to that motion?
Yeah, I'm trying. I gotta find the bylaw again here. Every time it goes to motion, my screen here jumps. I get it set up and then it's gone again. So I gotta scroll through 100 pages to get to it. All right, there we are. So section 43 states, despite section 42, where a person has been convicted of contravening the same provision of this bylaw, and it's about fines. Item A is it says 2 times within a 2-year period, the specified penalty payable in respect of the second conviction is double the amount of the original one. And then for 3, it's if you were found guilty of doing it again, it would be triple the amount. So we're doubling and tripling the amounts of the fines each time you get caught. And I guess my question is, do we do that anywhere else with any of our fines, such as parking or anything like that? I know if I get a parking ticket downtown, it's just a parking ticket downtown. If I get one next week, it's the same price. It doesn't double, it doesn't triple. So I'd like to understand what the purpose of that is.
Galen?
Through the chair to Councillor Ball, we do include that provision in our responsible pet ownership bylaw, the outdoor fire bylaw, the community standards bylaw, and the backyard hen bylaw. It is a section that our bylaw services team has requested for some of these newer bylaws as an option for greater deterrence for repeat offenders. So that if you get caught the first time, you get the standard fine, but if it continues to be an issue and you're at that point, given that you've already received one fine, you know what the rules are and you continue not to follow them, the fine amount escalates.
Okay, well, I can appreciate that, but I know I've got more than one parking ticket, and I know I was at fault, and I was never charged double on the second one. So are we going to apply that to all of our fines?
So through the chair. Through the chair to Councillor Ball. It is something that we likely will explore recommending when we review the roads and transportations bylaw, and we intend to bring a new bylaw to council in the future. It can be a bit more difficult for parking tickets. The officer does have to be able to review the enforcement history at the time that they're giving the ticket, and that's not always possible. So it may not be something that's recommended. It's typically only a section that a bylaw officer will avail themselves of if it's somebody that is, I guess, what I would refer to as a frequent flyer.
Okay, fair enough. I still don't support doubling and tripling these, considering that this is a pilot project. We're trying to encourage this and get people out on the roads. I just don't support doubling and tripling fines. I think maybe we can iron out those issues as we move through the pilot project instead of inserting them at the beginning of the pilot project. So I'd like to remove section 43.
Thanks, Councillor Ball. Yeah, I agree. And where it's a pilot project, we have some time to look at it back again. Councillor Grandison?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through the chair. I question this one simply because it is a pilot project and we're trying something new. You know, that whole definition of insanity is the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I certainly think Renee Wells spoke to, you know, we're trying something new. And for that reason, I support the fines doubling and tripling because it is something new. And will that be a deterrent? Will that work? No, we haven't done it in the past. That's because we're trying something new. So I'm in support of trying something new. At this particular juncture, in my mind, if we have, again, I lived in Abasans with the same people doing the same things over and over again, and if our enforcement agents were able to provide more of a consequence to deter that behavior, I would support that. So in that regard, I do support it. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Grandison. Councillor McGrath?
Thank you, through the chair. And, you know, a couple of years ago, I called for the radar detector, the photo radar. And people were going to get killed and going to curb driving, and I was going to throw people in jail. And I had to administrate. But you know what? I believe the people now that went ahead, they're better behaved. So it's not automatic that, like, if you're going to try something that's more friendly, chances are Joey's not going to have to pound down the road because he knows he's allowed on it. He knows that he's setting an example for a community that took 50 years to do this. So I definitely don't support doubling the fines because that's telling Johnny, we're going to take a machine. So we're going to have different levels of infractions. So how about we say, why don't we stay the status quo and try to build our community rather than focus on triple fines? Because if somebody told me, maybe Johnny won't curb because he'd want to, you know, he's not going to curb anything. I think that people are very receptive of people like himself that try to make our community livable. And this is one of the tools that we have. So I certainly wouldn't support, you know, let's take one model and jump it 3 times. Like, how many, we create so much work for ourselves, it gets sick. So I don't support, stay the status quo because I think you'll find better ridership.
Thanks, Councillor McGrath.
I'd still have one more comment.
Go ahead, Councillor Ball.
I guess, and one more, as was mentioned by Caitlin, I think you said it, was these fines have already been established at a higher rate. I mean, the lowest fine on here is $300, right? And like operation of a non-permitted OHV is $400, which could go up to $1,200, right? So that's significantly higher than our other fines already. So I think we are trying something new. We've increased the fine amounts, but I just don't see doubling and tripling them. That doesn't make any sense. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Ball. So we'll call for a vote. Oh, it worked. Sorry, go ahead, Councillor McGrath.
We're voting on the bylaw that's presented, right? Are we voting on your
Right now
amendment?
we're just voting on taking that,
43.
that part out, 43 out.
So, pardon me, Mr. Mayor, I just want to make sure that we weren't voting on the overall one.
Yeah.
So we're voting on the amendment?
Voting
Yes.
to remove
Remove
doubling.
that 43.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor McGrath.
No, they still have fines, just a doubling and a tripling.
And that's carried. Thank you. Can I have some make the motion for the third reading? Oh, do you have another one? Oh, new one? Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Councillor Ball. Yeah, just hit your mic, Ken. Yeah, now you're on.
One more amendment, that bylaw number 24/010 be amended by deleting section 14 and replacing it with, no person shall operate an OHV on a highway in excess of 30 kilometers an hour or where the posted speed limit is less than 30 kilometers an hour, the posted speed limit. Sure.
That's good. Okay, thank you, Councillor Ball. A second, Councillor McGrath. Thank you. Okay, just faster on the.
It's on the screen.
And Councillor Ball, do you want to speak to that motion?
Yeah, as we heard in here, I mean, Mr. Wells certainly raised it that we could do things to make it safer, and I think this reducing to 30 kilometers an hour is a step in the right direction, and certainly our user group agrees to that. So I think this is something we should do.
Thanks, Councillor Ball. Do you have any questions or comments, Councillor Dogar?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Dogar. Does anyone have any other questions or comments? Not seeing you, I'll call for a vote. Thank you, and that's carried. Now can we have someone make the motion? Okay, we're back to voting on the second reading that's been amended by Councillor Ball. That makes it's a mouthful. Does anyone have any comments, questions, or debate points for the second reading of the amended bylaw? I'll call for a vote. And that's carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Now, I'd like someone put the motion, make the motion for the third reading. Councillor Ball.
I move that bylaw number 24/010 be read a third and final time.
Thank you. Somebody a second on that. Okay, and thanks for the second, Councilor Banjoko. Do you have any questions, comments, or debate points before we go to voting? Councillor Stroud.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. I agree that having this pilot project can help deter OHVs using trails, parks, or green spaces, which is not allowed in the urban area. As we live in the boreal forest, it would be important to have a training program or information on the risk of reducing an OHV causing a wildfire. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stroud. May you have any more questions, comments, or debate points? Councillor McGrath.
Just, I guess, a question for, I know like for your boat license, you have to, go through the, the CSTs and stuff. But the quad license, for example, I know that you got your class 1 or you got your class 5, it's class 4, it's your class 3, got your bike license, class 6. But I don't know if there's a, like, you know what I mean? Like, if there's a bridge between getting out of my Datsun B210 and getting on my 400 quad. I guess through the church, through bylaw, would there, I know that it was said earlier, the differential is you got to have at least a class 5. So I guess it'd be up to the, like anybody else, very responsible owner, because most people get the plate put on their quad anyways. And I don't know if there's a requirement as such by the province when you get your license, because I haven't got a quad license. I have a class 1 to 6, but that means I can drive everything on wheels. But I don't have to have I got a Q endorsement and an S endorsement, but I don't have like a quad license, but I had to get a boat license. So would there come a time where on this pilot program, would there be like AMA or something, would there be a special course that people could take if they need to? Like, so rather than say triple a fine, like maybe the person don't get fined, maybe the person goes and gets educated. Or do you have to have a like quad license?
So through the chair to Councillor McGrath, there is no separate license. Under our bylaw, we're requiring a class 5. And in fact, the Traffic Safety Act actually prohibits the municipality from imposing any additional type of registration or license. So we wouldn't even be able to create, a separate licensing regime to make people take a course in order to drive on our roads. We could certainly develop something perhaps in conjunction with Jason and his group and encourage users to take it, but we're kind of limited in our ability to force them.
I like, because I think up in the Caddy, there was a time where if you were taking your snowmobile and your quad on the street, you had the problems looked after, but the people that, let's say the owners, they have to have a license, a trail license it was. And in that trail license, there was a slush fund so that people were educated. Because the cement inside the boulevards is like, they talk about killing grass, but the cement killed the grass, now it killed more grass, but it works, but it's just that people use that. So it wouldn't, in our community, we're kind of unique, because that, I call it the half a moon from Timberlea to Confederation Way. There's people use that for quads and stuff, or not quads, I'm sorry, bikes, like kids, sidewalks. And I heard somebody say about dirt bikes, I'd rather see a kid on a dirt bike than down in the tent. And this is, I think this is why this is a good thing. The kids and the families can go outdoors. But I'm just wondering, maybe it's too early to tell, but if it works, would we be amicable to someday having a trail pass?
So through the chair to Councillor McGrath, we are not able to have a trail pass ourselves, again, because of that legislation that prohibits us from a separate licensing or registration. However, I do know that at least under the Trails Act, I believe Jason and some of his group are exploring options for creating some trails, some actual designated trails in the rural service area. And so we'd have to explore what that looks like. I know that right now the snowdrifters have a trail pass, but it's sort of voluntary. It's to be a member of their organization and to use some of the amenities that they've developed along the trails, because technically they're not allowed to limit users to that public land. So it can be problematic legally, but it's certainly something we could work towards exploring.
Well, thank you, ma'am, because I know there's still a few miles for the Trans-Canada Trail system from here to Newfoundland, but hopefully they'll keep on it, and then we'll be able to leave here and come back in the summertime. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Councilor McGrath. Do you have any other questions, comments, or debate points from council? Not seeing any. I'll call for a vote. And that's carried 8-1. Thank you, everyone. Next up, we have bylaw number, actually, let's take a 10-minute break here. I'm realizing it's at 10 after 8. We'll take a 10-minute break, then we'll come back. Welcome back, everyone. Next up, we have bylaw number 24/011, fees, rates, and charges bylaw amendment, which is being presented for a second and third reading. I'd like to invite Laurie Farquharson, Corporate Services, to introduce the report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Laurie Farquharson, Chief Financial Officer. Administration was directed to prepare a bylaw amendment to the 2023 Fees, Rates, and Charges bylaw to waive fees associated with Schedule A, Section 10A, being the development permit section, until December 31st, 2024. Waiving this fee will allow residents and business owners to come into compliance with the new signage regulation under Bylaw 24/002, being the Land Use Bylaw Amendment Consolidated Signage Regulation. Administration is recommending that Bylaw number 24/011, being an amendment to the Fees, Rates, and Charges Bylaw number 23/022, specific to Schedule K, be read a second and third time. This concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Director Farquharson. Do we have any questions from council? Councilor Banjoko?
It's just a comment, or do we wait for comment later?
We'll do comments and everything after the motion's on the floor.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Councilor. Do we have any questions for Director Farquharson? Councilor Cardinal?
Thanks, Mayor. A question, I guess, is how much of a increase would it be to the rate? Is there?
Through the chair to Councillor Cardinal, it's not an increase to the rate. It is a waiving of the fee, which is $75.
Okay, and what does the, okay, I read that, sorry about that. I'm totally thinking of something else here. Thanks.
Thanks, Councilor Cardinal. Do you have any questions for Director Farquharson? Not seeing, can I have someone make the motion for the second reading? Councilor Grandison?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that bylaw number 24/011 being the fees, rates, and charges bylaw number 23/022 amendment be read a second time.
Thank you, Councilor Grandison. And thanks for a second, Councilor Ball. Now, are there any debate, discussion, and comments of council? Not seeing it, I'll call for a vote. That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Can I have someone make the motion for the third reading? Councillor Stroud.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. I move that bylaw number 24/011 be read a third and final time.
Thank you, Councillor Stroud. And thanks for a second, Councillor Ball. Are there any debate, discussion, or comments of council? Councillor Stroud.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. This bylaw amendment gives administration sufficient time to advertise and let the local businesses know of the new signage regulations. It also gives time for the local businesses to come into compliance with the new signage regulations. With the challenges we have faced, including flood and fires, I appreciate that we can give the local businesses a break. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stroud. Well said. Councillor Banjoko.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. I was trying to get the exact reference on that vehicle for hire. I just want to say I appreciate all the work that went into the changes that were brought forward for on the vehicle for hire. The first approval will still be for $500, and then subsequently it will be lowered so that more
Councilman Yoga, I think this is, all we passed today was that one amendment to the raise and fees bylaw, just taking off the $75 charge for signage development fees.
Oh, okay. I think I'm too eager to talk about vehicles.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councilor Bajoko. And if there's no more questions or comments or debate points, we'll call for a vote. That's carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. I'm moving on to okay. Councilor Cardinal, do you want to make your motion now for your 6.3?
Aye, Councillor Cardinal. Is that good there? Good, okay. I, Councillor Cardinal. Oh, sorry, let me read that again. I, Councillor Kendrick Cardinal, serve notice of a motion to have mayor and council become full-time councillors as opposed to the current structure as part-time effective June 12th, 2024.
Can I have someone second that motion? Thank you, Councilor Dogar. Yeah, this is the actual motion, correct? Not a notice of motion. This is the notice of motion you did at the beginning. This is the motion.
That's correct, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to speak to the motion, Councilor Cardinal?
I certainly do. The reason why I brought this motion forward is because recently, I had a chance to be able to connect with community members, also to be able to visit and be a part of the FCM, and you know, heard some of the stuff that's there, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done to be able to build this community better and have bigger and brighter relationships with others. And it's about the people. It's change needs to be done. Change has to happen, and change is good. I believe it's very important to service the people and be able to have more time with them. Not only that, I also know that it's important to play key roles in supporting Mayor Bowman and visit other communities, or to see what works and provides more community commitment between council and our citizens. We owe it to the people to be able to connect, listen, and build a framework around enhanced community connection. There needs to be a shift in how we do things in this community, and it's the people's inclusion from this council, and it's paramount for the boots on the ground to make more conversations happen, more relationships happen between rural communities, reconciliation, and all that brings forth to this great community. I think it's very, very paramount that we move this motion and help build this community better and brighter for the future of Fort McMurray and the entire region and all the rural communities. And I looked for council's support in this, and I appreciate everybody listening. And I wanted to say that I will be committed to building this community together. So one more thing. I'll wait. I'll let Alan say a few words here, but I got a lot more to say, and let's debate. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Councilor Cardinal. Councilor McGrath.
Thank you. And I guess first start off that I can safely say in the last decade, it's us versus them. And because tonight, for example, we have 4 or 5 projects. We wait. There's some motions sometimes get parked. They get turned around. And I think what you're asking to do, Kendrick, is to share the load. The government, I can tell you 10 projects that are getting skipped by. And there's too much us and them. Because I in the last two, and tell you why I'm going to support your motion, based on these 2 points alone. There's a KMG report that we done in 17. And then we just finished one. The first 8 that was owed weren't mentioned. But funny thing, the second biggest problem in this city, approved by administration, the councillors asked too many questions. Well, because the councillors hear so many things in so many levels. And I think a full-time job is not to govern the people, but it's to make sure people are held to account. And the waste of, like, we talk about space. Overnight, we made things work, but we rent spaces. So we're here as governance body that creates policy, that keeps a budget to its heels, that makes sure when a councillor has support of a motion, that it's followed through, not parked on a bench. And there'd be no company from Edmonton jump over our... I worked with the colleagues, and Mayor Bowman went to Edmonton and got her done. We work for our people in Fort McMurray to hire local contractors. And now we're waiting for an outside contractor. And you wonder why I get excited. That's why I get excited, because I know my responsibility. And there's nobody going to throw enough commissioner complaints against me to slow me down. And if you had full-time councillors, you'd know about bonus gate like I did. But I'm a target. And I know as a role as a councillor, I cannot mention somebody's name in council chambers. But I can bloody well tell people that the money's not getting managed right. That's right. And then 2 weeks later, I get a complaint. Somebody wants an apology. I don't apologize for doing my job. So I support your motion. And I'm not saying I'm going to be a full-time councillor, but I'm going to be able to go to Fort McKay, where I went 2 weeks ago. They got water issues. Today I find out there's no water in John Bay for a couple of weeks. We are held to account. But I can tell you, when we go to administration, and they dealt with the problem right away. But that's what people expect of us, not just the mayor. We have the largest municipality in Alberta. Red Deer has a full-time council. So we're not, I seen the disgust in somebody's eyes when this guy brought that up. But I can tell you that this will work well, and it might build a team. Because for a decade I sat in this chair, and all it is, it's a show against what can we throw under the bus and slow it down. And I have evidence beyond evidence that this is not working. So I commend you for having the gumption. And I support you 100% personally, mentally, because the last couple of years here, especially last year, is brutal. And that's not a slap in the face to administration. That's the culture we're in. Just what we just done to these poor people with this negotiating up and down like a jet. That's people's lives. And I'll support you 100%, and I'll be a better councillor.
Thank you, Councillor McGrath. Councillor Stroud.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. My question is to Councillor Cardinal. Will there be an expected raise going from part-time to full-time?
I'm sure that there will be, and after the review from us, I'm sure that it'll be implemented at some point, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stroud. Councillor Grandison.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through the chair. Some of my challenges with this is that it hasn't been vetted through both the MGA and third party and so on and so forth. I knew exactly what I was being paid when I put my name forward to run. Okay.
He's not talking, nobody talks about a dollar here.
Okay.
Nobody.
Let's talk
point to orders. Let's talk about the job. Not there's nobody mentioning the buck here.
McGrath.
Councillor
Grandison, yes, about the...
Not getting off the rails, not this one.
So, anyways, as I was saying,
remuneration. Oh,
the remuneration is not point to order. Remuneration not in that motion, so you can't talk to it.
It was on the motion, but Councillor. McGrath. Councillor Stroud asked Councillor Grant Cardinal if there was expected raise, and he did say yes. Al, turn your mic on.
At the end of the day, I knew exactly what the pay was. I knew exactly what the expectations were when I put my name forward and when the public elected me. I knew exactly what I was getting into. I'm not going to support a motion that doesn't have a review of what is required. I didn't sign up to be a full-time counselor, for one. I signed up to be a part-time counselor. I don't know out of 10 people how many people should be full-time, how many people should be part-time. And I don't know if it's the job of council to determine that. I certainly don't believe it's the job of administration. That's too self-serving, so it's got to be done by a third party. Somebody who can look at it independently and look at the MGA and look at what the obligations are and everything else. That's what I look at. So, no, I don't support this. I don't support it at all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Grandison. Councillor McGrath.
I can tell you that I've sat in this chair longer and then, well, be honest with you, there's only Lady J here tonight that sat any longer, and this is not against the law. In fact, if it was, it wouldn't be on the table. And I tell you, when you find out about bonus gate, you're talking about the taxpayers' money. If there's a little raise that goes on here, we'll still be 0.4%. And this is not about money. This is about making sure Fort McKay gets clean water in a couple of years. It's finding out where we're at on projects. It's about working with administration and getting funding from the feds and the province. It's about trying to get some arteries here, trying to get some people back here. And that's going to take time. It's not about the money. You're looking to fight. I'm looking to support this guy to make us, to get what we're owed. And it's going to take more than Mayor Bowman. We are owed transportation. We're owed our land transfer agreement. We extended a piece of land for no reason. So yeah, I support this because I know there's 25 reasons to support this. It's not about money. It's about we're going to make this place home again. And the promises that were committed in my time, Articles of Incorporation for 18-1, nobody addressed them. The land transfer agreement, we're still over at about 100 million. So I commend you, sir, for bringing it forward because this guy can't do it alone. And this is not about, I never taught it once about a buck. And if you don't want to be a full-time counselor, that's the thing about the MGA. This is not against the law. You're either in or you're out. That's what politics is. So you can, I will grandstand on the side of we need to do more so we help administration more.
Thank you, Councillor McGrath. Councillor Grandison.
Within the confines of the MGA, I work full-time sometimes anyways. And I knew that when I ran for office. I knew that some weeks were going to be, thank you, Mr. McGrath. Can I actually talk without you in my ear, please? I knew exactly what I was getting into at the end of the day. But when I say I didn't sign up to be a this is a governance job, according to the MGA. And I have no problem. I have no problem working full-time, providing support for our administration to do their job. I just have no intention of doing it for them. And again, having what the obligations are outlined in a third party with somebody independently looking at what the job is, I have no problem supporting that, none whatsoever. I'm just not going to vote to give myself a raise. I'm not going to vote to change the job description at this point in time without support, because I don't think I have the wisdom, the knowledge, or the ability to do that. That's where I'm coming from.
Thank you, Councillor Grandison. Councillor Benjoko.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. I support the motion for some reasons, but I also feel looking at the people that sit around this table, there might be some that would not want to be. So I'm thinking there should be that option to say, okay, I don't want to be full-time. Thank you. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you, Councilor Majoko. Councilor Dogar?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for giving me the chance. Before coming here, I had a business in Edmonton, trucking. So my family was here. So I could I have told you, sir, in your office, if you remember, I could make about 10,000 to run my house. Now I am making only $2,800. Sometime I skip the dishes. Sometime I drive a cab here, Edmonton. Please hold on. And I have to make my living. I feel guilty. Once I say no to it, one of the motions I wanted to do no, but I didn't feel justified about Fort Mackay. There was a road they constructed and they then presented it. I said yes, because why should I say no? Because I have not seen it. I don't have my personal knowledge. Now, in following the evacuee, I went on 881. I stopped at every locality, Janvier, Conklin, Anzac, and Gregoire Lake. I met people and I asked few of the problems, and I felt that I'm completely ignorant. How I talk about their affairs. I am supposed to be voting for them, looking after them, and I am totally ignorant. So if we get a chance, we should do our job in a perfect way. As far as the Honorable Grandison says, if he can't afford it or because of his other commitments, the option could be given, those who want full-time or those who want half-time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Dogar. Councilor Cardinal?
I'm totally against the option. I'd like to move this forward. I'd like to also support the mayor. I've said this numerous times. I've come to his office. I want to be able to be a part, include as much as us. I feel that there's a disconnect in this organization. And I'm looking for the future of this organization, having more community commitment by others that possibly do not want to commit to this organization because they're not full-time. I think that'll bring in more people, bring in more community members from this region, and I think it's a great idea. And I ask that Mayor and Council support this motion to the best of their ability, and let's help build this community together, and let's move on. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Cardinal. Councilor Stroud?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. I believe we need to have further discussion on this and include the public and benchmark with other municipalities to see where we stand in regards to this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Stroud. Councilor Cardinal?
Well, I think we're going around in circles. That's the reason why I brought this motion back. Lady J, I understand their concerns. I'd like to move this motion forward today. This is the third time that I've brought this motion forward, and I've been getting a runaround, and I'm sick of it, and I just want to move this motion forward, and let's get it done. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilor Cardinal. Do you have any other questions, comments, or debate points? Councilor McGrath?
I would just, in the interest of the community, we're just going to go back and forth. There is nothing here this evening. This is the same way that some people want to hire a guy this summer. They buffaloed, scared. We're not breaking no laws here because you know what's going on here right now? It's a complete show that we don't know. The mayor's the boss, and we're next. We're just asking to do some more work. So I just say my suggestion is call the vote.
Okay, right after I make a comment and Councilor Stroud.
There's nothing illegal. I don't want people to think there's nothing illegal going on here. And that's what I heard Al say a couple of times. And now I don't want this to cascade into illegal and cash. The guy wants to bring back the community. And if we had, I guess the folks will know why in a couple of days, another case of complete crookery. So maybe with some more governance and oversight, we'll be able to get on with life.
Thanks, Councilor McGrath. Councilor Stroud?
Mayor Bowman, on that motion, it says that mayor and council become full-time councillors as opposed. That doesn't make sense.
As opposed to the mayor and council. Okay, I'll let Councilor McGrath make an amendment.
Yeah, we'll have to change that.
Yeah.
You get Jade to put the proper wording and I'll make the motion.
Okay, Councilor Stroud's going to make the amendment. Councilor McGrath.
Unless you want to keep. I just prefer to get the legal, whatever. Okay, yeah.
Part-time to full-time.
Yeah.
All it would be is that for the position of counselor, right? So you've just removed mayor.
Remove mayor,
Yeah.
okay. And council become full-time
So
counselors.
it would be you're removing mayor, and it would be the position of counselors. Counselor.
Do you want to
become-
call? Mayor Bowman, I want to remove mayor, and the word would be council become full-time counselors as opposed to the current structure as part-time effective June 12, 2024.
Thank you, Councilor Stroud. Councilor Cardinal, are you okay with that amendment?
Can you please read that again there, Councilor Stroud?
Oh, sorry, just hit your mic. Sorry, Councilor Stroud.
I want to remove mayor, and the amendment would say council become full-time counselors as opposed to the current structure as part-time effective as part-time, comma, effective June 12th, 2024.
Can I amend the amendment?
Maybe we have to vote on this.
I know, but I'm reading it now that it should actually read that council become full-time as opposed to the current structure as part-time.
That's what I said.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you left in council again.
Through the chair for clarity, if this would be amenable to Councillor Stroud as well as Councillor Cardinal. I believe what the intent would be, listening to the conversation around the room, would be that the position of councillor become full-time as opposed to the current structure of part-time effective June 12th.
Okay, do you want to?
CLO Brown, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Okay, can we take a recess and get that printed out then?
Okay.
Amendment?
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Stroud.
Pardon?
Sorry, councillors. Just councillors. Okay, point of order, councillors. We need Councillor Stroud is. Councillor Stroud, go ahead.
I'd like to make an amendment to read as follows. That the position of councillor be full-time as opposed to the current structure of part-time, effective June 12th, 2024.
Thank you, Councillor Stroud. And Councillor Cardinal, you amenable with that?
Yeah,
Your mic. Councillor Cardinal?
Thank you, Councillor Stroud. I'm okay with that amendment.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder for that? It's friendly? Okay.
I consider it a friendly amendment.
Okay, then we'll leave it there. Thanks, Councillor. Do you have any other comments, discussion or debate points? Councillor McGrath, Councillor Grandison?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The only place I can sit in here that has any kind of logic is I keep hearing it's not about money, so maybe the amendment also needs to be, we can all be full-time, but we'll get the same pay. Why not that? If it's not about money, let's make it a full-time job at the same pay. I'd be okay with that.
You know, I never seen a group of individuals try. You know, on June 28th, I sat down in the same room and listened to the same kind of stuff. Why don't we just call the vote and stop playing in the hands of the wolf? Let's be the good wolf. Because you want to start. Why would we want to be full time? I'll tell you 2 reasons that we'll get some support for administration. That we'll find out before we have contracts that are gone to strangers, that we worked our arse off for years and give it to the locals. Our ship has never fell so far in the ocean in 6 months. And you bet it's going to take some more hours to get her back. So you can grandstand all you like. You're either in or out. But take the vote. Because we're just playing this old circle that's going to be going on in this place for years.
Okay, thanks, Councillor McGrath. Going to make I think I need to speak in here. For me, like I said, when this went forward, my opinion is I think there is some councillors here that work full time. I know I've spoke to Councillor Stroud several times late at night, Councillor Ball, the other councillors, Councillor McGrath, one of them that I spoke late at night. I know some councillors who do put in full-time hours, but I think as elected officials, we need to have a chance for the public to come in as well to speak, not just council. And also we have 2 councillors missing today. So I think in something big like this, we should have all our council here. So that's where I stand on this. So with that, I'll call for a vote. This is for the motion. No, this is for clarity. This is for the motion. And that's carried 6-3. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to item 6.4. Councillor Cardinal, you want to read your motion?
I, Councillor Kendrick Cardinal, serve notice of motion to have RRC host a watch party for the remaining of the Stanley Cup playoff games. Thank you.
Can I have a seconder for that motion? Thank you, Councillor Bajoko. Councillor Cardinal, would like to speak to that motion?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd love to speak to this motion because I'm a die-hard hockey fan and I know how important it is to pull the community together. I think about the little young guy, Ben, that, was always at the Oiler games, and, it brought a light to my eye to be able to see the smiles on that little young man's face, along with Joey Moss and everybody else that was in the arena. But also, I think that it really pulled our community together to be able to acknowledge that us as a mayor and council think it's very, very important to share that with the community. I feel that having the disabled, the elderly, the young celebrate with, you know, away from, you know, addiction or just to have fun at a central place that we can all call our own and go on the big screen, cheer, hug, laugh, support, you know, cry, whatever comes with that team spirit. And let's bring the team spirit back to Fort McMurray, because that's what it's all about. It's about bringing the people together and working to a better Fort Mac. So let's do it. Support this motion, please, and thank you, and let's keep on going.
Thanks, Councillor Cardinal.
Oilers.
Councillor Ball.
Thanks, through the chair. I think you all know I'm pretty much an Oiler fan, but I got the shoes. So I certainly support the enthusiasm behind the motion, but I do have a concern. How does it potentially impact some of the local businesses that rely on that playoff atmosphere at their establishments? You know, the Boston Pizzas, the Earls, the various, like, I mean, the bigger the crowd cheering for the Oilers, the happier I am. I mean, I know some diehard Flame fans that won't do it, but that's cool. I get it. But how do we ensure that we're not taking away from that environment of, you know, the different venues that already host watch parties per se?
Great question there, Councillor Ball. Whether or not people are going to choose to go to Earl's or McRae's or stay at home to watch the hockey game, it's their choice. But if we provide a safe place where a community can come together, I think it's very, very great of us to be able to have something like that. So I think it's good. Everybody's going to choose to go where they're going to go. Everybody chooses whether or not they want to go and sit at the bar and enjoy drinks. But this will be a sober event, and that's all. I'm really thinking about the people that can't get out to the bars, the people that can't are not going to get the supports. Let's help support them, and let's get together and pull them all together. I think it's important. Thanks.
Okay, one further question. Have you talked to RRC? Do you know if they have the capacity at this point? I don't know if they do or not. So
I can take that, Councillor Cardinal. We did, Councillor Cardinal brought this up before in an email, and I did contact the RRC at that time, and at those games you requested, they were booked up.
But what about the ones coming up?
Oh, that'd be...
Okay. Can you?
Do we know if RRC is available to do such a thing, like host a watch party on over the next?
The days that they indicated before, they were busy. I think that I could rely on the mayor to be able to reach out to Craig. I could reach out to him now if you guys want to take a quick break. I got no issue in doing that, but
I don't want to commit to something.
If that's what needs to be done, it's sure, let's do it. But if not, okay. I'm sure that we could find an avenue to be able to make it happen. You know.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Cardinal. Councillor McGrath.
Thank you, and God help us. We live in a community that we got $1 billion spent on where to host a movie. We spent $70 million right here, but we took another $70 million. There's a spot right here for people. If McMillan's full, the Sny, we done it before. The park in Holy Trinity, this could be a. You can't expect Greg Walsh to pull it together in a night, but I guarantee you, if there's anybody can pull something together, when we lost West Ray Miners, it took us 2 nights to give the community of Nova Scotia back 150 grand. Those people are still in the community. For example, if it was raining out, Liquid Arena, you'd fill it. Because the kids might make a donation to Santa's Anonymous or to the elders. This is Men's Mental Health Month. And some of us suffer around this table because it's shenanigans. But I tell you, sir, what drives business downtown are events. We were told that. We wanted to build $1 billion. So if somebody, the businesses would pick up business. Because if we have very talented people here in the city, you could make this a Saturday noon kids event in 25 degrees and celebrate the community we have rather than sit around and talk about, oh, it might be full, guess what? We just came up with this tonight, but I guarantee you with 1,500 of the best they're in Alberta, we could pull this together, no problem. Holy Trinity got a 350-seat theater. Keanu College got a 500-seat theater. I think what got to happen here, we got to start using what we have. And you know what? God bless us. 13 months from now, to be people coming with their moms and dads, the grandmas, because we know how to hospitalize our community. So space is not a problem, but it wouldn't be fair to pop something on. But if there's anybody in tune to get something done, it's the people that live in Fort McMurray. And God help us, I've never seen an All Sands owner yet say little Johnny can get to see a game. Because you're right, sir. There's not everybody can go to a restaurant.
Thanks, Councilor McGrath. Councilor Cardinal, will you be amenable to just changing that to host a watch party for remaining Stanley Cup playoffs games rather than RSC? So like Councilor McGrath had mentioned, taking RSC out of there? Oh, go ahead.
I just figured that Greg was the man for the job.
Oh, he definitely is. Yeah, it definitely is.
And, you know, he moves a lot of great things. I think very highly of Greg, and that's one of the reasons why that RRC came out. His staff and the facility is amazing.
Yeah.
But I am okay with amending that motion, Mayor Bowman. Please and thank you.
Thanks. Can we get a seconder for that? It's just a friendly amendment. It's fine. Okay, Councillor Banjogo.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. I would like to join the watch party.
You're invited.
Because, what do you think? I speak for a lot of people who are still learning, so I would like to watch with others, sit with them and learn more. And we have a lot of people like me, or I think so. So I will be, wherever you take us, I'll be right there, whether it's the Holy Trinity or anywhere. And I do also, I thought about the local businesses and the impact, but honestly, I think the people who will be ready to go on the field don't have the money for the inside. And so I'm ready to roll. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilor Banjogo. Councilor McGrath?
I just can't get that we're talking about holding an event that's going to affect the business. It's going to bring some traffic downtown. If that's what it is, it's going to bring some traffic. People are going to be on the move. Like, this is going to help our businesses. We had 10,000 people down looking at a concert. Businesses thrived for a couple of days. We got to get more of that, so we could probably get some more people to move back and get some houses starting going from foreclosure to lived in again. And we take care of the bread and butter issues, we'll build a community. That's what we're missing. So I thank you, Kendall, for what you've done tonight. Kendrick, I'm sorry. I had a good buddy, Kendall, and I lost him in the... Thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilor McGrath. Councilor Cardinal, you have something in closing?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to friendly ask everybody, let's move to vote. Thank you.
Yeah, that was my... And I'll call for a vote. And that's carried. Thank you, everyone. With that, sorry?
Yeah, nothing pertains to the agenda. But, you know, whenever any member is absent because of maybe he's sick, he's on duty or something, once it it is written absent, that gives a very bad impression. Either he's sleeping or he's ignoring. So it should be written duty or holiday or sick.
You don't have to post it at all, actually.
No, this is my suggestion. Let Mr. Mayor to consider it, please.
Thanks, Mayor. Motion to adjourn, please. I'd like to motion to adjourn. Thank you.
That's it for tonight, everyone. Have a good night. Thank you.